Hi friends, I just wanna, this is Chamber Pots, your commissioner in charge, and I'm gonna make a quick video about how to do some fantasy football tasks in the Sleeper app. So the first thing is I just want to show you, of course, opening up Sleeper app, which is this little robot guy with the football mask on. This brings you to the home screen, which you well know. I have both teams that I'm running on Sleeper, the Shizen Bowl, and I'm also playing in the largest fantasy football league in the world, the Megla Bowl. So go to Shizen Bowl, and this brings you to the home screen, which is got your players and the matchup that you're currently in. First, this is where basically most of the things you want to do can be found. So you can get to the home screen easily by this bottom left thing, which has skid mark Streak's photograph because he was the winner of our Shizen Bowl last year. So you can always get back to this if you ever get lost. This is always available there. You can get back to there. The four things at the bottom to note are yes, the bottom is the home screen. And then this second one, which has the numbers on it, 7:3, that is scores. So it'll take you scores around for different sports. If you hit NFL, it'll take you to the all current scores that are happening in. And because this game is already here, you can see like the scores and stats for the game, the stats for like just football stats, cool plays that happen that will tell you the play-by-play of the game, or how fantasy football went for the game, and it'll tell you in our league like which team had which player. So in this case, Hermitage Russ, which is the Wet Frogs, had Kirk Cousins, but I didn't put him in. He had 66 points. And this Muff Don't Punt had Jalen Hurts in it. It tells you that who had the player, if anyone does. If you click on the player at any time in any screen, it'll bring you to that player's stats, where you can see very clearly. You can scroll through each week how many players were projected to get, how many points they got, not players, how many points. And then we're in half PPR, so maybe not quite as many. And then how many points they got in half PPR. Some details about them. If you want to put them on your watch list, you can do that. You can find out their game log at a glance for the entire season and how many points they got, and what rank they received, how many yards of receiving, rushing, or returning, depending on what kind of a player they are. You can view all their stats for the previous years that way. And this X will bring you out of that screen and back to here. This is just basic news about all things fantasy football. There's channels here that you can subscribe to for different teams or fantasy football news. With the bell, will tell you all things about that. You can participate in game day chats, or just questions or news about different things, different players, different team news. You can search here by hot news or just by the latest news. The hamburger here will tell you if you want to favorite it or leave the channel if you don't like it anymore. And you can always subscribe to new ones or add new ones if you want. And then the bottom left screen down here is just more kind of things related to fantasy football or whatever you want it to be. Like I have football research here and videos, fantasy pros, and there's another thing that they've got me on. But anyway, we'll go back to, you can use those to go back to our team. So here we are. This is our home screen for the Shizen Bowl. Now, using the top tabs of match, like I said, this just tells you the match, who your head-to-head matchup is up against. You can go, if you are in this screen and you're just looking at the match, you can always change your players, like QB. If I want to change my player QB, it will tell me at the bottom of the screen which other players on my bench are eligible to switch, and I can just hit the position and it'll take me. If you hit the name, it'll take you to their player profile. So if you want to switch them, hit the position. That's important. And like I said, some positions you can have different types of players. So if I want to switch DJ Moore, I hit that position, and it will now tell me all the players that I have either on my roster or my bench that I can switch for that position. And since that flex position can be a wide receiver, a running back, or a tight end, then those are the players that are eligible to switch for. It won't give you players that are ineligible to switch, so you can never do that. Same with like the defense. I don't have another defense on my thing, so it's just giving me the option to switch my defense to my bench, but I'm not going to do that. And again, similarly for the injured reserve, if your player says they're out, or if it only says they're out, that will make the injured reserve spot eligible. So if Pat Freiermuth went from being questionable to, and it would say OUT, then I would be able to hit this bench, and then the IR position would show up for me to move him to the IR. But he's not. He's just questionable now. So it's really important to just take a look at where your players are at. The colors for their opponents that you see here, the Rams or the Chargers or KC or Tampa Bay, these colors are like red, blue, and green. And you can find out more about the settings for the league in the settings. If you hit the size, if you go into, go to league and then hit settings, this will take you to settings that are available to you, so you can see, because I'm the commissioner, I can see a few more things. But if you want to find out like how the scoring is, if you want to find out how the meaning of icons is, you can go to the league thing. It's like a green player is very likely to play. A yellow player has a 50-50 chance of playing. If it says they're doubtful, that means they're doubtful. If they're out, they will not play. If they're suspended and they will not play. If it says IR, it means they're injured and will not play. Sometimes there's this arrows that say trending up or trending down, and that will tell you some information about maybe they've been dropped or picked up by fantasy teams. So this is a red or green projected score, means you might be likely to win. It just tells you a little bit about the defense they're playing when the colors are different from green to red. You can go back out of this, find out about our league history. I haven't uploaded our past leagues into this yet, but I can. If you want to find out how the draft went and you just want to revisit how your draft went, you can hit the draft results and hit the 2023 season, and we'll give you the entire draft board of what we did. And you'll see how your team did. And you can see at the top, you can find your username and your team and see clearly like how you drafted and the players and which position you drafted in very easily. And back out of the draft results. There's lots of other things. I have powers to adjust things. New this year is my ability to edit lineups. So that's one thing. All right, so those are some league settings. While we're here in league, you can see really clearly when we've done here is you can scroll through the weeks and see the matchups for everyone each week, choosing it this way through week 4, through week 5, etc., etc. One thing I changed this year and one thing this functionality gives me is that you may have noticed if you win a game and you also are over the league median for the week, which in week 1, let's say like this Muff Don't Punt, our league median was 113.35 points. If you scored more than that league median, you get a win, in addition to actually beating your matchup. So in the case of the Beehive, for instance, they did win their matchup, but they didn't get as many points as the league median. So they only have one win, and they also have one loss. Every week, everyone has a chance for up to 2 wins, or could potentially get 2 losses if you also lose your matchup and don't hit the median score. And what that does is it equalizes teams or games or matchups where maybe you had the second highest score and you were up against the person who got the highest score, but you lost because you went up against the person with the highest score. But you could also get a win because you still probably got over the league median, potentially. But then, of course, if you don't win or get the median score, then you'll get 2 losses. I have in Megalo Bowl come back from a 0-4 to winning my Megalo Bowl league. So it is possible to do after 2 weeks of losing and not scoring well. And then below the league standings, where you can see each division, we have standings, how that's going. You can see the activity of all the recent waivers or trades that happened. And if you want to view them all, you can do that here by seeing everything. Oh, and you can filter by things like types, trades, however you want to do that. Using the other tab of team, this is a useful thing for using this screen. Gives you lots of functionality. You can see just your roster, not in a matchup, but just your roster for every week. And again, you can use this week advance or going back to see your roster for which week we're in. And again, if you want to switch to update your lineup, you switch the position button, and then it'll give you the position at the bottom to which to switch. And you could do that for your bench, and just like you could on the match screen. So always hit the position to do that. If you're, you can add players by using the plus players. If you want to initiate a trade, you can do a trade, propose a trade in the middle, and it'll bring up the screen of all the people. Your team will be on the far left. So maybe I want to trade Brock Purdy. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to trade. I want to use this little tiny clipboard button. Add Brock Purdy to the trade thing and confirm. You can put him to the trade block. Or if you want to select a trade partner, maybe I want to trade with Ryan. And then it will give me this thing to start the trade proposal. And then it'll bring up both of our teams, and I can select which player I want to maybe trade with Ryan. I'm going to see if Ryan will trade me James Cook for Najee Harris, or maybe let's go to Nigeria. And you can just click and unclick, or you could say, oh, I want to give him James Cook, and I want 2 of his players because it's worth that. Or maybe I want to try and get Tyreek Hill for A.J. Brown, which he would never do. And then you can also, in addition to just players, you could say, I want to give you Sky Moore for Evan Ingram, and I want to give some of my fab money, because maybe I can't give him a player, but I could give him $2 in fab. And I can add the fab to, you can see it goes over to him, plus fab for him. Maybe that's a thing. And then it'll give me the option to view the proposal and confirm the proposal. It's important to, over here on the right-hand side, you want to check like how long you want your trade proposal to be around. Like maybe you want to give them just till the end of the day, or maybe you want to give them 24 hours, or maybe it's just never expires, or maybe it just expires in a couple of days because that's what you want. And then that's telling you about what your trade proposal looks like. It's giving you an outline. Chamber Pots is going to receive Evan Ingram and I'm sending James Cook and Sky Moore plus 2 fab, and then what your trade partner would get. And you can also send it as a direct message. But I don't want to do any of those things, so I'm going to back out completely. For doing the waiver wire, you want to go to players and available players. And this tells you like Players you can choose from any position using these tabs here, a defense, a tight end. If you hit the available, it'll show you available. You can also look at leaders and who's ahead in those positions. Go like that and then hit this leaders tab. And that'll show you like week 2 stats. Now you can switch from like being week 2 stats to projections maybe for any week, depending on the week you're looking at. And maybe I want to see projections for week 3 and who are the top quarterbacks. Of course, those are there. If you want to look at a specific team, you can hit this little tiny button in the top corner, or the star would be your players that are on your watch list. I would just go to available here. Apparently I've got Zacchaeus on my watch list. Those are available. And then if I want to choose a specific team, I can filter by any of you. Like maybe I want to see who's on the Wet Frogs that's on my watch list. And players that are available, you can see here the ones that are in yellow are the ones that are on waivers. The ones that are blue are on someone else's team, so I would want to trade with them. And the one that's red is on my team. So that would mean like dropping it. But I can also I can clear that and I can go back and choose like who are the Indianapolis players. They don't have any stats, so we want to go to projections. And I can see here all the projections for week 2 at Indianapolis. And if I want to go back and see all the players, I can just clear my filter and do it that way. But maybe I want to see all the players from Atlanta that are wide receivers. And I can see all of those because maybe that matchup is interesting for me, who they're playing in week 2. Atlanta is playing Green Bay. So I want to see, Drake London has been taken, but there's a couple other top-rated ones that might be available. Hopefully they never get that far. And then you can just hit the filter button and go off of that. And go to any other position you work with, like who are the week 2 projected defenses that are still available. For some reason, the New York Giants are at the top of this list, even though they did horrible last week. But they're playing the Arizona Cardinals this week, so maybe they'll be good. And it can tell you really clearly their projections, like how many interceptions and sacks they're projected to get. And again, like you could go back to the week 1 statistics, or you can choose like the season average when it gets later in the season, or maybe you want to choose season and you want to see what they did last year in 2022, just to give you an idea of how the teams were doing. And in the season stats of 2022, the Packers were the best defense. They got 237 points, more than any other defense, and how those defenses did as their season average. So these special functions are really useful for doing your research. But I want to go back to 2023 stats. Yeah, we can go to season average or just the full season, just to see what's going on. And in this, the Jets and the Packers and the Cardinals have so far been the best defenses this year. All right, and then when you want to do waivers, so you got here, maybe I want to pick up the Jets. I just hit that W for the waivers, and it's telling me I have to drop someone. So I'd have to drop I can drop any player. Maybe I want to drop Derrick Henry, just for fun. You always have to pick your FOB amount. You've been given 300 Monopoly money dollars to use for the whole season, which is a lot. $300 is 3 times as much as we get in Mega Ball. So you should be able to be fine for all your waivers. You choose how much you want to spend, because all of us can take any player on the waiver wire at any time. You just bid how much you think they're worth, and maybe someone will outbid you, depending on how much they want that player. So I'm going to swap DJ Moore for the Jets defense. It gives me my transaction here at the bottom, the Jets for the player, and how much I've bid to get them. And when you confirm, you would hit confirm, which I am not. Well, I can do it because I can also undo it. What time is it? 9:30. All right. And so I've done it. It's been added to my waivers. And then I'll be able to see my waivers by hitting the team tab. And you can see now this transactions is listed with a 1. And you can see here at the top, it's got my Jets for DJ Moore. And it's tells me when the waivers are going to run, which in this case is Friday at 1 a.m. So that's in a few hours. And how much I've bid. I can hit this little gears thing, and I can cancel my waiver altogether. Or if maybe I'm like, oh, I should have bid more. Maybe I should bid 10 fab for that because I think Heather or Ryan is going to try and outbid me, and I can update my bid to $10. Or I can cancel it altogether, and then it'll ask me to confirm. Yes, I want to cancel. And that's how you do your waivers. And then you can close this transaction screen at the top left, and it'll bring you back to your team screen. And now you can see that my transaction waiver is no longer there. There's no pending waivers anymore. All right. I think I've done it all. It's been 20 minutes. Hopefully I've helped you. On to week 2. You can also get this whole thing and see the league screen. If you just hit the words week 2, it'll easily switch you to, oh, I want to see who I'm playing in week 15. And it looks like I'm going to be playing this Muff Don't Punt in week 15. That's the first week of the playoffs. So we'll see how that goes. Or you can easily go back to week 2. All right. Here we are in week 2. It's football time. Thanks, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Signing off, Chamber Pot.